Good morning and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical and science fiction gaming in and around the great city of Savannah, Georgia. We have a special guest with us this morning, Mr. Carl Paradis, who
Yeah,
is a well-known game designer working on such games as oh geez, drawing a blank here.
no
Uh,
retreat series.
There we go.
The,
The No Retreat series. I know he's well known for that. He's known for his work with GMT. Today we're going to be talking about past, present, future, kind of what he's done,
yeah,
what he's working on now, and some plans he has with Sound of Drums for the future. But before we get too deep in, y'all know the drill. Give me a like, give me a share with your friends, share with your enemies. Just give us a good share. Leave a comment in the section below if you like it. If you don't like it, well, keep it nice. And then, of course, if there's other items that you'd like to see us cover, let us know. If you got questions, you can drop them in the comments or send them to us at Gator Games WayX Gator Games WayX at gmail.com, and we'll be happy to pass those on to Mr. Carl. And with all that being said, welcome, sir. Good to have you with us this morning.
oh my. I think I will remove my glasses because there is. I think you have the kind of reflection. It would be better that way. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So I always like to ask game folks, how did you get started in historical gaming?
Oh, that's a good question. I started when I was really young. If you know the true story, we're in Miami and I was blitzing plastic model and stuff like that. And it was Christmas and I had to go there with my father to choose a new kit for me to build. And I happened to see in that hobby store there was like kind of Avalon Hill boxes with kind of military stuff on them, and one was a Luftwaffe. It was an airplane game, and I was into plastic modeling airplanes, so I saw that box and I decided to get it. And at the time, I was not speaking English very well, so I spent the time of the beach in Miami trying to read the English rules with a French English dictionary on the other hand. And I started from there and I decided to get more and more. And I'm into water game too. I was an ED&D dungeon master like for 25 years. I started a club. I was into Euros also for a while. So pretty much that kind of game, computer too. So it's I
Wow. So
started
yeah, you're
that way. And at the time I was living up north in Canada. No, those games were not available at all. But at one point, my father went to work for the Canadian Air Force as a flying doctor, and at the PX there, even in remote places, they had games from probably they distributed the same kind of stuff into all the PXs in all the bases, and I was able to get a lot of games from that Air Force base PX stock. At the time, there were no games like that anywhere. We're talking about the late 70s there, just before
right,
Dungeon and Dragons started. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I guess I joined the gaming hobby, I guess, about 83, and yeah, it was blowing up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've not
Role
done
playing
much on the
games.
role playing side. Um, I did my first war game was Avalon Hills Midway, and so I came
Yeah.
up through
That's
kind of the hex encounter side of the house.
still a very
And
good
then
game,
my
by the way. That game
yes,
is still
yeah,
very good,
yeah. It's
even
there's a reason
for
they call it a classic because it really
yeah,
works well. I think what
yeah.
was jarring to me and my dad, because neither one of us knew anything about naval tactics, was the horrendous casualties among the bombers as they dove in on the ships.
Oh
We
yes. Oh
we were
that
we were
yeah.
like, right, oh my gosh.
And the
So
torpedo
I
bomber
know
too.
yeah, I know the Japanese were completely amazed at the courage of the American dive bomber and torpedo bomber crews, and yeah. So Midway, and then my second war game was actually Avalon Hill Squad Leader, and that's still my
Oh
favorite game to
yeah.
this day.
The,
And
the
yeah,
basic game. The basic game. Basic
yeah,
squad leader. Yeah, I went
yeah.
into ASL for a long time, and I even did ASL classes and stuff like that. At one point, something broke, and I said, "No, it's too complicated, too much hassle." So I gave away everything. I had the whole collection. I gave it away, but I kept my basic squad leader. I kept it. That one.
There you go.
That's the best bang for the buck that ever did for one game that I bought at $12. I think at Plattsburgh Air Force Base and other Air Force Base,
Right,
and
right.
that game I still have it, and I had so much fun with it. And so you started very well. You had two great games.
There you
Oh,
go.
even
There you go.
midway when I was and I would stop chatting and stuff like that. midway the game, I liked it so much. When I was in college, I had my first Apple II computer that I built myself. And the second thing I programmed on it was kind of midway AI. So when you play at 2 players, you have a kind of referee that will tell you if you detect ships or not. So you don't know where the enemy is searching most of the time. So I did a small software help, and he did the combat automatically too for that game on tape cassette.
Look
in the
at you.
80s.
Yeah,
Basic,
that
I
is
programmed
fantastic. Well, there you go. So it's like sounds like your hobby and your career kind of intertwined.
It seems, yeah, it seems it
So
did in a way, yeah, because
yeah, very good. Yeah, I
to
like to
the mindset of
tell,
it. Yeah, go ahead.
sir. I was gonna say, at age 13, I was doing double entry bookkeeping and logistics for a spacefaring empire,
Wow.
and right, right, So it was a
I
game called
think
Starfire.
you played by snail mail, right?
Well, I didn't. It was face to face, but everything was analog. So yeah, it was all
Oh,
all
okay.
all manual bookkeeping. Yeah. So I was lucky enough coming up that I had a number of friends that we played with. We would take our vacations and do one campaign or another, and it was always fun. There you go. So you got started with like the rest of us, kind of with toy soldiers, and
Yeah,
uh, you were off to the races.
yeah. And I come as I said, I did a long stint into AD&D role playing game. I started a club when that was a fad in college in '81, if I remember well. We started a club. It is still going strong today, in fact. So for during the war game period where not much was happening, I was pretty much into role playing games and miniature gaming also. Before even Warhammer was a thing. So I had Napoleonic stuff and Dungeon and Dragon
There,
miniatures.
there were
So I made my
there
own
were
rule
miniature
before.
games.
Yeah, before making rules for games or making board games, I did miniature rules for naval ships and battles like that, and Dungeons and Dragons and Napoleonic miniatures also. So, and when I was a dungeon master, I made all my module by myself. So I was already creating stuff in a way.
Fantastic. No,
But
that's
my
that's a
first love
perfect
was
start.
board games,
Your first stuff was what?
board games, board war games.
Board games.
I
Right.
started with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I had TSR's Tactics 2 as a young man and
Yeah.
played around with that. So yeah, there sometimes the gamers forget that there really was miniature war games before GW. I promise.
No, that's a good thing though. All those games, I showed some of those games and miniatures in my club in Montreal, Canada at the time when it was not a thing. It was starting in Britain, and I said, watch out for that game system and that company. They will do great stuff, and it brought back a lot of gamers into miniature gaming, Warhammer stuff like that. It's games, it's miniature, it's war games. From where I am, I'm not living in the big town. I have from a 5-minute walk, you have you have three game stores. Three game stores. And they all do Warhammer battles and stuff like that. And it's also big with Magic the Gathering game. Card games is always popular there. But those game stores like 25 years ago, there were none.
Right.
So
Right.
so
Fantastic.
in Quebec, the board game hobby of all kind of games, it's going really well. Really well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's I think the hobby itself entered a new golden age about 15 years ago, and
Yeah.
it's showing no signs of slowing down, which is really great because in from my observation, the last big golden age was probably about 84, right
Yeah.
before the microcomputer revolution kind of pulled the rug out from under everything.
Yes.
So it's really good to see, and that's kind of what brings you and Sound of Drums into kind of bring into
And
focus. So you started designing games kind of as a kid, and then how did you get into it professionally?
well, I won't. I will not call it professionally yet. Oh, by the way, I think the internet has a great part into all that game revival for sure. Just as a
I
side
think
note,
you're right.
super
Yeah,
important. Without that, I would never have done my games. I have enough contacts, and it was a really small local affair at the time at all the publishers. So it was really difficult to get into that world unless you lived like by Avalon Hill and you go there as a kid to play test game for them and stuff like that. So the internet very very big. Very
Yes.
important. So yeah, I started doing those games. Well, publishing, for, what, 15 years ago. At the time, my girlfriend told me I had too many games, which was true. And she said to me, instead of buying all those games, why don't you make some instead? I said, yeah, sure, why not? A good idea, good challenge. So that's the way I started making games. And it's more of a hobby. It's just a really small sub hobby that we have, especially war games. It's not many people can do a living with it, especially designers, because the number of game printed is not very good. You invent Settlers of Catan, you will do 300,000 copies. Games like Battle Commander, stuff like that, usually it's what, 3,000, 5,000 copies, so it's not a lot. So it's more of a hobby than anything else. I have other source of revenues, but with Battle Commander, since we're doing a lot of languages at the same time, to be a bigger release, that's starting to be interesting as a revenue standpoint. But that's not at all the main reason why I do that. Of course, I do that because I like doing games, and my games, I do them for me first. And if people like the games and enough for them to be published, I'm super happy. If not, well, I have the game for me. So. I tried doing games by command, by order, and it didn't work because it's not something
Interesting.
I was interested enough in doing.
Okay.
Same with my work.
You know,
as an engineer,
I think
I had a lot of experience, so I could pretty much pick and choose where I wanted to do stuff or not. Not always. Sometimes it came back to me. The whole stuff came back to me to hit me in the back, but. I had a lot of leeway, so it's pretty much the same with that hobby, of course.
I think that's the story of a lot of people in our hobby.
Yeah.
From retailers all the way up to game designers, that we first do this for the love of the hobby. I know that's why I started Gator Games and Books. Where I was actually like you, in a small town, and I'm like, you know what? I can bring these things to my people in town, and they'll enjoy it. And I'm the
That's
same
good.
way, even
That's
with
good that
stuff I
you
bring
do.
into the store, sir.
That's great that you're doing books and games at the same time. So it's a great idea.
Thank
I
you,
like it
thank
a
you.
lot.
Yeah, even now, I only bring into the shop things. I bring in things obviously that I think will sell, but I also bring in games that I would have an interest in. So I have that flexibility, and like you say, it doesn't necessarily generate large amounts of revenue, but it does a bit, and we're growing. Again, that's a huge part of why I signed on with Sound of Drums. I like y'all's design philosophy. I love to hear yours. Hey, I'm making this game. If you want to play, you're welcome to it. I will tell you, when looking at the components for Battle Commander, I was absolutely intrigued at the area. I guess it's area control with almost a
Well,
classic
yeah,
Kriegspiel look with the
it's
with the
kind of
pieces.
that's what I wanted to do. It's a kind. I wanted to get the Kriegspiel look because I'm a game component. Not when I first game I made with GMC. I told them you need 100 counters. I want a mounted map. I had tons of exigencies of stuff I wanted them to do, and they did it. So I had the counter were pre-rounded. When you on the counter sprue, you don't have to cut the corners on everything or move
Right.
the dice. They're already round, and they did mounted maps. Nobody was much doing mounted maps for war games anymore, and we started that fad again. So right now, almost all the games have them. Well, at least half, and you can purchase the map separately if you want. So I'm really a component game maniac, and I as a game master, Dungeon and Dragon, the presentation and the game tells a story like a role playing game. So I wanted to use, as you said, the Kriegspiel look because it seems to be appropriate for that time period. And the rest of the component, well, I want the best we can get and afford. That's what I'm going for. And look at the Euro games. The Euro games are started that fad a long time ago, and now the strategy game is starting to catch up. But it's something that people like, and when your game box is heavy, full of stuff in the store, people will tend to buy it, and there are a lot of impulse buy, of course. So components it's really, really, really important. Back in the day, you have a lot of games that are really good games, but bad components. Today, you can have both, so that's nice. I like it a
And I
lot.
think it's a critical. I think that's a critical part. I do a lot more at the moment in the miniature gaming space, and I'm always telling the players that your tabletop, in this case, your map board, your terrain, it tells as much of the story as your troops do.
Yeah,
And there's just not. It takes away if you put these nicely painted armies on a table that has terrain that looks less than its best. And sometimes I'll tell folks, hey, before you buy that extra army, why don't you buy some more terrain and really dress your table up?
that's right.
Again, looking at the map board side, we were talking about the game Squad Leader. I think one of the things that really made Squad Leader pop for its time was the quality of the map boards
Oh
and
yes,
the
it was
quality of the components.
all unpainted. The counters for the time they were great. Even today, it can that game can hold its own against new games doing release. You put it in a store, and yeah, sure, it's a
Yeah,
good design.
yeah, yeah. Actually, and I know Multi-Man has come out with what's called the Advanced Squad Leader starter kits, which are basically about the same weight as Squad Leader, and they have sold the heck out of them.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not surprised.
and then I
You have to stay at
yeah,
that
and I know
level. Don't go ASL. Try to keep it basic, simple. That's the intent of the designer Eric Smith, and it's a kind of Hollywood movie kind of game, and it's always fun because people will remember I roll a double one in that game, and oh my machine gun broke, and then my troop went berserk. That's
yes,
that's that's what you remember. Those small kind of weird happenstance. That's what you remember about the game. That was we make the game funny, and yes, Squad Leader had all of that. So that's why it was
yeah,
a
yeah,
great game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, again, you did work with GMT, and I've watched GMT over the years, and I really respected. They got it right on their funding model. That P500 was just magic, and I know I've worked with a couple of other companies, and I've said you should use this model. Oh, well, it's a lot of work and it takes time. I'm like, yeah, but you know whether or not the market's going to support it.
Yes, there is
You
pros
don't
and
put
cons. You have there is pros and cons. You know that what their bestseller. What was the bestseller they had? The all-time bestseller for GMT. What is it?
Oh man, I want to say Twilight Struggle.
Yeah, Twilight Struggle. It had a lot of problem on the P500 at the time. It almost if it was not for the editors, from what I've known about that story, it could have not never been published, and it was their best hit. Well, the P500, it's mainly gamer like me, maniacs that will take the time to check all the ratings and everything, and it's the core base, but it doesn't absolutely means that a game will be it helps, but some obscure good games will not make it the cut because of the really specialized way the P500 is done, in my opinion. But it's money that the user can use right away to publish games, so that's great. The
Right,
only thing I don't like right now about the P500 is it's a victim of its own success. You have a lot of stuff on it. You get lost when you're trying to look at what is coming out. You get lost. So what some people told me they do is, oh, we don't look. We just look at just before the game are released. Then we P500, and we look at what is available. If the game is interesting, we embark. It will be published anyway. So there is too much of a good thing there, in my opinion. They have too many
sure, excellent.
things in.
Well, hey, that's why folks watch the show is to get our opinions and we poke brains and make them think about things.
And it's like
So,
also when you have one other thing, it's like Son of John would be doing and other companies. Sometimes I think it's nice not to have only P500 stuff. Sometimes give a
right,
chance to a design that the publisher thinks will be good. So put it there. I think the mix of both is excellent. Also, the Kickstarter and game fund and stuff like that to get visibility in other parts. There's another kind of gamers that would be there, so it's good to be, I think, pretty much everywhere
right,
as much as
right.
possible. Yeah.
And I know you're bringing Battle Commander out on GameFound. So, and I think did the campaign already close for that, or is it still open?
Oh, I think it's close. If not, it will be close. It's the post campaign. I think you can buy the game even if you're not in a campaign.
Right.
It's probably closing certainly this month because the game is in production right now, from what I know. It was a bit of a challenge because of I think it's one of the first time a first edition of a game is done in so many languages at the same time. It would be French, German, well, German a bit later, but it's almost the same time. German, Spanish, Italian, English, and Chinese. So
That is fantastic.
well,
And
it's
again,
the game got delayed a bit because you obviously had to do all the translation for
right.
all that at the same time. But then the rule book will stay the same through the series. I made sure that I want to have something from the start that is solid. So at least the translation, they won't have to do them for the other volumes. So it's done.
Now, in doing some research about you, of course, you did the No Retreat series,
Yeah.
but is this your first Napoleonic game?
Yes. Well, no. Yes. I did 2 miniature rule sets in the 90s
Okay.
for my
Right.
own use. Never published, of course. But it's my first Napoleonic game. I was waiting for the right time to make it because the No Retreat, World War II was a topic by default because I'm interested in a lot of topics, naval, air topics, medieval, you name it. But my main love is Napoleonic. So I was now it's the right time to publish. My work study room is decorated in the Napoleonic style. I have some Napoleonic hats and an eagle, and I have some really historic Napoleonic guns. I have a sword and stuff like that. So probably, as I said, when I went to France as a kid, I got bit by the Napoleon bug. Oh, I was
there are worse bugs to get bitten by than enjoying Napoleon. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the painting behind you, that's Napoleon at Marengo, right?
That's the crossing of the Alps. So it was just before Marengo. It's a reproduction painting. It's a reprinting, so reproduction painting of that portrait, celeb portrait that I think is now in Australia, if I don't. I might be mistaken. I know there is a famous Napoleonic painting like that, and those were large. Huh? It's not that size. The real one is like 10 feet high, something like that. It's full size. So yeah, I got that as a gift, and I like it a lot. So it's one of my cherished possessions in my Napoleonic game.
Nice.
So yeah, a kind of obsession. I have like hundreds of books on the topic, but I was kind of shy of doing game like on it and doing it badly. And it started all where the publisher wanted me to do a small miniature Napoleonic game. And so I decided to do it. And then the ball started rolling and it got more involved and bigger. And I said, I will do a series. I will put 6 games in a box, super deluxe. And then the GMC saw that. They said, no, we were not doing that. It's too much of, because of the wood blocks and all that. So they published so many games. They said they are trying to get a bit away from too many not expensive, intricate game pieces. So it was not a good fit for GMC. So I started to try to find an editor that will say yes to all the things I wanted. And UA did it, of course, is a Napoleonic maniac also. So we have a good match there. And surprisingly, the components were not, I was under the impression it will be super hard to design, to make because of the constraints of the manufacturing of those things, but it was surprisingly easy to do and not that expensive. So it was a really good surprise that I got when I saw this. I said, what? That's how it costs? Some of the stuff like the boxes, it cost very much. And I thought that the small bits and pieces would have been a problem, and not at all. Well, what is costing money is not at all what I thought it was. So that was very interesting.
That was one of the things that got my attention about Battle Commander, and actually got my attention about Sound of Drums overall.
Yeah.
Is where other companies are using counters, y'all are using often wooden pieces, what we would call meeples. I know I've got a copy, compliments of you. I've got a copy of the Peloponnesian Wargame, Hellas. And just when I popped the box on it and started putting it together, I'm like, this works really good.
Yeah, the tactile feeling is really nice. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. And And I know one of the things that's kind of limited the growth of war games maybe more is, especially if you're looking to crossover, is
Yeah,
people look at those cardboard counters and their eyes cross. They're like, oh my God,
yeah,
all the numbers. But people love handling those little meeples. My wife is a very tactile game player as well. And she just thought that was fantastic. So when I looked at the layout on Battle Commander, I'm like, and I've already told you, I want at least 3 copies to open the campaign with
that's
because
great.
I'm gonna want one. I want at least 2
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
store, and it's just
Back
beautiful.
back in the days, just before I started designing games, that's what I was always saying on the internet. Say, look at the bad quality of the components of the war games. Check the euros they got it. It's well, it's sometimes too much, but the components are really good. It's if you want people to get interested, a lot of people, you have to change that. So I try to do my counters are super big, like I said, with 200 counters.
Yes,
And that's acceptable. That's fine to play. A Neurogamer will see that's no problem. And as you said, less number possible in the counters. On mine, there's 2 numbers and no numbers on the Battle Commander stuff. So and you can still get. It's the design part's important. You can still get very accurate game, super fun, fast to play, and that do represent history very well. You don't always have to have thousands of counters and super thick rule books. So, but that's another topic entirely. One thing though, when I design a game, even an order treat, I try not to have for a gamer not more maneuver and element to manage than in a chess game. So not more than like 2,000 pieces or 2,000 stacks, or usually it's just like that. So if you look at my Battle Commander battles, in the playbook, you have all the battles with all the order of battles with all the counters. Just count how many each player has. It's really more than 20. That's really
interesting.
I just want the players to have as much brain power possible left to do their strategy, the tactics, role playing. So even my combat system, I try to make them as effortless as possible to the gamers. When I mean minority games, even the numbers on the counters, I try to make the numbers, even because it's a show of strength, but I try to balance that for that when people had to make computation like odds 2 against 1 and stuff like that, that there were less fraction as possible in the game. So I went that far to make the game experience more like even if I like accountants and accounting, make it less like an Excel sheet than a Dungeon and Dragon games. You understand what I mean there.
Yes, exactly.
And it's
That's what.
very difficult to do that. It's a lot of work. Just my event cards and to balance everything. I'm starting to use AI nowadays, just as a testing element. As I will say, the AI. I know a bit of maths. I'm an engineer, so that helps. And
Just a bit of math.
yeah, what I only loved maps math that were related or to games, so a specific kind of math. Anyway, I'm from Battle Commander. I run 10,000 simulation about the game, the combat engines, and the probabilities to make sure it worked. And I'm really happy I did because I had some bad design choice I made and some stuff kind of went in loops, and I had a problem with my simulation engine, but I was able to see it early. So I'm really happy I did use that for the game because it was so complex. There's so much moving parts. Even if for a player it's super simple, but there's a lot of moving parts in the background that I had to test. So for that, AI is good.
Excellent. Yeah, I know. I'm working on a couple games myself just to pull back the curtain a little bit. I'm working on a couple games myself, and I'm making extensive use of AI to test theories, test outcomes, just to make sure it before. And what that does too, it cuts down your playtesting time.
Yeah.
And
What
you
is good
catch those
also, what I
simple
do,
mistakes.
yeah, and what I do, I said, well, can you check that for me? But I ask the AI often and show me how you do it. So I want to
Mhm.
see with the reasoning behind it. And a few times I said, no, that's not good. That's wrong. That's the wrong
Right.
reasoning. So try it again that way, and then it worked. But
Yep.
it's
Yep. I've had to do
very
the same thing.
one thing I did about it, since we're talking about it, my one thing I hate doing in the game is the index, the glossary of terms, and the stuff like that. it's driving me crazy for a game, even with the software assistance. So my rule designer, my rule layout guy said, "Oh, can you do me an index, a glossary with all the terms?" I said, "Oh, no, I don't want to do that itself." So I said, "Okay, let's use my AI for that." And I put in my PDF for everything. It worked great. Well, it was 90% perfect. I save hours, and it was perfect to do that kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay. But
right.
I would not. I asked him to design me a game. Well, I did ask, and the result was surprising. But to do that kind of stuff, it's perfect.
So, yeah, and you're going to see, you're going to see more use of that, and anything that saves time for the designers, is going to shorten that production cycle, and I just think that's fantastic. I'm completely jazzed. I started playing around with the AI with a couple of concepts, and next thing I knew, I had a nice simple game I could throw on the table. Was it perfect? No, but it was something I could, and that's what really got me thinking, hey, I've got a couple of ideas I've been wanting to do for years, and so here we go, we're off and running. But that's really good.
You can have it on your game. The AI I'm using, I gave him my rule book, everything, the PDF. I said, learn my game, and then I said, I asked the AI just for a test to make scenarios for it. Using my game system, do the scenario for the Battle of Waterloo, let's say. And it was surprising, and it was quite interesting the way you can have stuff. But a more useful thing is I put them doing the order of battle, the graphics, and all that for the maps. It's a bit of a core, but I gave the AI the example of what I'm doing, and I said for that outer one where you only have the written data, do the same layout as I did for that scenario. So it will mimic what I did, but with a new set of data, and I don't have to do it all by hand. So that's good.
That is awesome, fantastic.
Yeah, but I have a lot of scenarios. Since I have 6 battle per games plus options, it's a long time to make. So I'm trying to get help on that regard there. So times.
And when I first saw the Battle Commander, I'm like, oh, it's another Napoleonic game. But then as I dug into it, I'm like, this is going to be fun, and I'm as both a customer and a retailer, I'm absolutely excited to get a game on the table and a game in people's hands that's going to look and feel different than other things.
No hassle, and it's shit pull to activation. You decide what you activate, so it's super dynamic. You won't stay 1 hour waiting for the other guy to do his moves. Even combat itself, you do an attack, I do an attack. Everything is super dynamic all the time. Almost no computation to do. And you were talking about squad leader a bit before with those critical dice that we roll. Of course, I have that in the game. I have critical happenstance that will be put some sand in the gears of the gamer's plans. And it's always those things you remember. So you remember my leader was wounded at that hour, but then he got better because of such and such events, or there was rain or stuff like that. So each battle has a table of random events that can happen.
Awesome.
So that element of surprise is there, and the game is. I think the game is super fun. I say that I'm making a game that I want to play, and that's the first game system that I cannot get enough of. I played like 60 times. Each time it's a new experience. It's really fun. A bit of chaos, but that's what makes it fun. So I hope like it. If yes, I will do other time periods. I will do American Civil War, started already, and other musket and powder periods. I have an adaptation that I want to do for ancients and medieval also, but we'll see if people like it or not.
Okay, man, I so look forward to watching this game system grow. Again, I'm absolutely excited, and that again, looking at even the company that you're associated with, Sound of Drums, I love the enthusiasm. I know when I first looked at the products, I was like, these guys are first class, and they're new, but they're first class, and they've got potential. And I think you're bringing something to the table. I've seen one other company do the wooden Kriegspiel like look. But to be honest, I didn't see the value there for what they were putting out. For their price point. For the price point, I didn't see the value. One of the things I like about Battle Commander as I look at it is I look at the price point and I look at what the gamer gets, and I'm like, this is this is definitely worth it. And that's a huge part of, you ask, I think you asked offline, why is Gator Games and Books do what it does, and why are we doing YouTube? It's all about bringing value to the gamers and
Yeah.
value to the hobby. Whether it's giving a designer an opportunity to come directly to folks and say, "Hey, here's why I'm excited about this," or whether it's a chance for me to bring a game out and show it to people that might otherwise not get looks. And I can't tell you the number of times I've had, because I sell some, I do some work with the old Starfleet Battles group, and can't tell you the number of times people have been like, "This is still in production." I'm like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, you can get it from me." But the big thing is,
Oh,
it's still there. And in the case of this game, it's, hey, look at this new thing that's coming out. It's a new way to look at board gaming, and to your point with the wooden meeples, you're almost splitting the difference between board and miniature gaming, and that's
yeah.
huge.
And I'm doing both world. I'm a jack of all trade, master of none kind of guy, but for Napoleonics though. So I've done miniatures, I've done role playing, I've done war games, I've done computer games, I've done everything. I have some games that will be released, computer games soon, by the way. Some adaptation of
Oh,
my No Retreat with full AI and everything. It's coming out in a few weeks, I think.
and is
So
that going to be released under Sound of Drums, or going to be released by somebody else?
no, it's a French company. It's Avalon Digital. It's a French company that is doing adaptation of board games for computers.
Okay,
But the games are
excellent.
in English. It's in multi-language. So they have already done a few Avalon Hill games, and their work is very good. So it's in
That is
progress. Another
fantastic.
thing in progress. Yeah. But
Now, is
you're
there
right.
are there plans to bring your No Retreat line over to Sound of Drums and rework it?
Yes.
Excellent.
That's the next project that you will hear about. I'm doing a designer edition of my games. No holds bar, full super deluxe stuff. Yeah, it's in progress right now. So you will hear
That is
about it very soon.
fantastic.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The old stuff that people were interested in the titles. Some titles were a bit excavated to cover the World War II, so some titles are less interesting for people. But some are more like the Russian front, the first one I did. That is published. It was published in China, in Russia, and Japan today. Big success in Russia, but because of the topic, I suppose. That was years ago.
Just a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
So yes,
Fantastic.
I think people will like it because of, as you said, the merge of different kind of style for the battle commander.
Right.
It's playing, and the price is really really good, and you have a lot of play value in the game. You have 6 battle in each, and what I will do, what is, we already started doing it. We have expansion packs. So once you have the main volume, I'm doing an inexpensive expansion pack with extra maps. So you have 6 new battles that you can play, like for $20.
Okay.
So after the 6, the main, you have all the wood bits and everything. So if I can add some more expansion that will not be very expensive, you can double the number of games you can play with a very little investment of money. So that's a winning strategy, I think. So even the first battle commander is already in 1 expansion pack that is out, and I want to do 2 per game volume at least.
So Battle Commander Volume 1 will have 2 expansions to it at least?
Yes, I 1 is finished, and I have one more plan. And Volume 2, I already have 1 expansion plan and 1 more.
Wow.
But there's a lot of battle to cover, so it's not possible to do it in just 1 box. And I don't want players that want to have the whole series to spend tons of money for stuff that they already have. So I will just put what you need, the leader cards and the map and the order of battle and stuff like that. But in a Ziploc or something, like on a small box, so it's possible to expand your game without spending a fortune on it.
That is a great idea.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
the Ziploc concept definitely was worth looking at. I know Ziploc games have been part of the hobby for a long time, and for just that reason. Especially if you're doing an expansion or a small game, a Ziploc with a nice cover looks good in the store. It handles well, but also it keeps that price point down so someone can grow the experience of the game.
I say Ziploc if that's the format we want to go with, but Probably, perhaps on the drum we'll do it in a kind of like record casing. I don't know, kind of thin cardboard box, very very slim because you don't have a lot of stuff in it. So it has
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic.
So
All right,
we'll probably get the samples very soon. I can't wait. I'm sure you will receive some samples from UA for the games. I already have
I'm
a
sure.
kind of prototype at home, prototype from the printer, and the quality is incredible. I'm really surprised that they were able to put all those symbols on all the blocks and not get those mixed up. So it's very impressive. One caveat though about my game. I try to cover the whole Napoleonic era in one rule book. So there's a lot of small detail. The game is a bit intricate to learn, but it's super easy to teach and super easy to play. So I can have someone I can teach a game in 15 minutes and you can play. If you have to learn it by yourself, it's a bit more involved. But I did a 4-page primer that if someone reads that, you can pretty much start the game and play and look up the details later on. It's a pretty robust system. So even if you play it wrong, if you play it wrong, you will have fun and the game will work. So
the perfect game to play while drunk. I love it. Have you thought about doing a how to play video for the game?
Yes, that's not something I did before. One guy did some. I mean, it's a Spanish editor did very nice videos, but in Spanish. I bet you can just put the translation on for the text and you will understand everything. But yes, we'll do some. I wanted to wait to get a full projection copy to do that. Not using my copy the graphics. I did all the graphics by myself for the prototype, and they are okay, but it's not at all the same caliber of work as the finished product. So when I get a full-fledged copy, I will try looking into that. I'm sure other people more talented than me will do great videos like Stuka Joe or other people.
Yeah.
Will do something better than me. I don't have the whole equipment to do that, but I will do my best.
Right.
Yeah.
I do. That's one of the things I look for my social media too is, a game like, Battle Commander and various other games. If I find good how to play videos, I'll usually post them to my Facebook page, the Gator Games and Books Facebook page. Sometimes I'll include them alongside the game in my catalog. Like for Battle Commander, if I had a good how to play video, I actually have the option to upload a video in my game catalog, and so I'll but hey, here's a how to play. So
yeah, that's good because not all the games are fun to watch being played. Some games, so the Battle Commander is a good point. The video will be interesting because the action is fast and you have all kind of wooden bits moving around with colors, and it's fun to watch. So I think it's a good idea. Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that makes any game really pop, especially these days. Lots of color, lots of play, lots of interaction. I think more and more the days of someone sitting there for an hour while their opponent takes their turn it's a declining mechanic that people are willing to put up with.
Yeah, but the overall game crowd, I see a trend. In the early days of the war games, you played Midway and Squad Leader, but then at one point you started to have all those monster games and those huge games. We still have them. They are fascinating things to study and try to play, but it's too big. It's unmanageable. People buy the games. Sorry, they buy it and they won't do anything with it. Or they say, "Oh, but I can play small scenarios that is offered in the game." Then, well, but why do you need the whole ping pong table of maps? You don't play it anyway. So Euro games, they are starting, some companies, to go that way. The games are starting to be, even with the companies too big, too much stuff. Some of the games, the Worker Placement, you have a full table full of bits of game pieces. It's too much of a good thing in my way. They have to watch out because at one point gamers will get overwhelmed, like in the Monsters game stuff for the war games.
Right.
It's a good. I find those designs really interesting and fun, but keep it toned down a bit because I see too many of those games.
The old GDW Europa series, all of World War II at divisional level. Oh my gosh!
So I'm trying to simple, not to. It's difficult
Yep.
sometimes. I'm trying to find a simple way for the gamers not to have to work instead of me working, for them not to have to work.
That I remember reading. I think it was Steve Jackson's book, Game Design Theory and Practice, that he talked about simple games that are simple for players. That's a sign that the game designer has put a lot of work in on the backside,
Yeah,
so that there's not a lot that you have to interpret or
yeah,
process. That
yeah.
it
That's right.
flows smoothly. Yeah,
Sometimes for some topics, some complexity is needed. Sometimes you cannot
sure.
go around it, but the less possible, less possible.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do all the time.
Well, I'm looking forward to giving Battle Commander Napoleon a try. I'm hoping to get a demo copy from you and say, hey, let me do an opening. So looking
Yeah,
forward to that. Like I said, I'm planning to bring it into the store. I'll be taking pre-orders on it. But I'm really jazzed to to give it a look and give it a go. I know I showed it to my wife and she was like, oh, wooden blocks instead of counters. I could get interested in that.
yeah.
So, and I've got a lot of my friends that are the same way. You show them counters and they start twitching. But if they see blocks and stuff, especially with a lot of the work that GMT's done, they're like, oh, well, let me give this a look. So I'm really excited. Um,
And
you may not hear this much from, go
the
ahead.
topic that topic suits itself well for blocks. Like you said, it's a quick spiel rendition of those battles. So you look at the map. It's like looking at an old Napoleonic map of like Waterloo, and you see all those blue and red squares
Right.
and rectangles. The same thing.
Right. It's like, oh my gosh. But except instead of just looking at a static map, you're actually getting to influence it. And that's
Yes, and
absolutely
it's super,
awesome.
as I said before, but I want to insist on that. It's super interactive. It's
Love
all
that.
action all the time. If someone is taking 5 minutes to move two pieces, slap him silly, because the game is made for fast play and make errors. It's fine, it's chaos anyway, and you have to manage that with your cards and all of that. So it's super fun to play.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for all the work you've done for the hobby. When I did a
Thanks,
search on you, you came up with lots of good people saying good things, and we do appreciate that. Thanks for taking time this morning to talk with us here at the
thanks as
Gators
well.
Garage. Probably will bother you again as you continue to grow the
Yeah,
series,
and
just to pick your brain.
or when we get actual full copies, we can do as you said. Okay, could do a small unboxing, and I can explain to you what these the thing you're looking at are, and why we did it. We did the pieces and the cards and everything the way they are. There is a reason
Yeah.
behind everything. So it's very very well thought. I think it's 4 years in the making. So
You know what? That is a fantastic idea, and I'm going to throw that on my calendar, and I'll get back with you on a date sometime
yeah, it
before.
will be fun.
We'll, we'll we'll circle back on that. So, folks, be watching for it if you want to get the uh, get the unboxing and the discussion straight from the designer. Straight from the designer, you'll get it here exclusively on Gator Games and Books. There
And
you go,
I
Gators
don't
Garage.
think and I don't think I never saw anyone do that before, so that would be really super fun. It's a premiere because I
That's
never saw a designer look commenting someone who paying for the box for the first time. And I think there's a
I
lot of interesting stuff we can say at that time.
fantastic, man.
Yeah,
I'm like you, Carl. I've never seen anybody do that, and it just makes all kinds of sense. So,
yeah.
man, I think that's going to be exciting. Very good, great. All right. Well, you have anything else you want to say to the folks before we wrap up?
Well, try to buy the game. Even if you're just mildly interested in that topic, you will see it's super different and it's very very interactive. As I said, super fun to play. And if you don't
Excellent.
like it, I'm sure you will be able to sell it down the road at an really expensive price and make a profit on it. That's for sure.
There we go. Buy it to play, and if you don't end up playing it, keep it as a collector's item and sell it off on eBay. There you go. I
Yeah,
can't tell you the number of times I've done that. There you go. That's fantastic.
me
Well,
too.
folks, this is the latest from Gator's Garage. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank
Do
you.
us a favor, and yeah, and thanks
Thanks,
Carl
guys.
for being on with us this morning.
Thanks.
Again, just do the YouTube things for us. Give us a like and a share, and leave a comment in the comment section below, preferably a good one. Um, we ask also that if you want to help support the channel, you can buy us a cup of coffee. on Ko-Fi or Patreon. $5 keeps us running there. This is thirsty work, and the best way to support the channel, of course, is to go to Gator Games and Books website and buy some merchandise. We'll be stocking Battle Commander. We also stock several of the other Sound of Drums games, and I can tell you from personal experience, they're excellent to have. So there you go. And with that being said, that is all of it from Gator's Garage this morning. Have a good day.
Have a good day, guys.